Okay, so to continue with the discussion on chapter 2, which is on um, the meat we eat. So on the first subtopic that I've discussed about the growth and development as well as the growth of animal growth and then the growth development of muscles and fat. So for this discussion, we will talk about the physical and chemical composition of meat and how uh, will this affect the quality of the meat as well as how can you identify that specific meat with that physical or even that chemical composition of it. Okay? So before we actually go into the physical and chemical composition of meat, a continuous or for the continued discussion on fat development, I've discussed about the lipogenesis. Now we can also look into fat development in the process of adipogenesis. So when we say adipogenesis, it is the process wherein the fat-laden cells, when we say fat-laden cells, these are the adipocytes. So wherein they develop and then accumulate into adipose tissue. So what it means by that is that these cells that are specifically for fats called adipocytes will develop and then will accumulate. When we say accumulate, agtitipon in various sites of the body in order to create the adipose tissue. When we say adipose tissue, the most common or a common term for adipose tissue is fat. Okay, so that's adipogenesis. So, adipocytes, again, it is also known as lipocytes and fat cells, are the cells that primarily compose of the adipose tissue. So, all of the fat cells, like for example here, if they accumulate together, then they create the adipose tissue or the fat. So, these adipocytes are specialized in storing energy as fat. So usually, excess energy is like, for example, if you have excess carbohydrates, that is not needed by the body. It is actually converted or it is actually stored as fat. Okay, so that is why last discussion I've talked about excess carbohydrates, wherein they undergo glycolysis and then eventually into fats. They are stored as fat. So here we have like the similar to what I've discussed about myogenesis. In adipogenesis, you also have like a precursor cell wherein through determination, again, when I say determination, it will determine or it will um, parang decide if that cell will go into like what specific cell. So in this case, those precursor cell will then, through determination, will become pre-adipocytes. When I say pre-adipocytes, it is not yet matured enough to be called a fat cell or adipocyte, but it is through differentiation, it will become the young adipocytes. And then after that, those young adipocytes will then again mature into or undergo late differentiation in order to create mature adipocytes. Now, these mature adipocytes, these are the ones that will develop and then grow in order to create the adipose tissue. So that's basically the overview of adipogenesis. Now, adipocytes arise both during late embryonic development and in the mature animal under conditions that promote obesity. So usually, um, during late embryonic development, wherein malapit nang may panganak yung offspring, doon papasok yung pagdevelop ng or yung pagbuo ng adipocytes or yung adipose cells natin. Okay? And aside from delayed embryonic development, in the mature animal under conditions that promote obesity, doon din papasok si adipocytes. So like for example, um, when we have obesity or paano ba nagiging obese yung isang organism, paano ba tataba yung isang organism. Usually, yung adipocyte, through or it will undergo the process of hypertrophy. Again, when we say hypertrophy, that cell will increase in size. And then it also, because of that increase in size, then that adipose or that fat will also increase. Then eventually, it will lead to obesity. So, ang obesity kasi nangyayari lang yan if there are too much energy or too much nutrients, especially carbohydrates that are ingested by the body and it is not expended or it is not expended or spent enough, that it will usually result to obesity, or those carbohydrates will then be converted into fats, and then pag hindi pa talaga na i-spend yung fats na yon or na co-convert again into energy, eventually it will promote or it will result to obesity. So yeah, when I say obesity, it is the excessive accumulation of body fat. When I say excessive, accumulation of body fat is not detrimental actually to the body of the animal. Pero pag excessive na, doon papasok yung obesity. So it is a consequence of persistent energy intake that exceeds energy expenditure. Yun yung ina-explain ko kanina, wherein kain ka ng kain pero hindi mo ini-spend, hindi ka nag-exercise, doon papasok yung obesity. Energy intake is higher compared to doon sa energy expenditure. Kaya madami yung excess na energy sa body mo. And that excess energy will eventually be converted into fat. And this will result to obesity. Okay? So this condition gives rise both in hyperplasia. So when we say hyperplasia, yan, wherein those adipocytes or yung mga fat cells natin, they will increase in size. And then, yung hypertrophy, yung sinasabi ko, that will increase in number pala yung hyperplasia, and then increase in size for hypertrophy. So, yun yung mangyayari. So, when we say adipose tissue, again, these are your fat. So, adipose tissues consist of adipocytes bound together by thin collagenous networks. So, this is basically a parang diagram for that. Adipocytes that are agdadagkad and yung parang medium kung bagay agdadagkad collagenous networks. So adipose tissue is a major energy storage tissue. What I mean by that is that those fats, when times of nutrients or even food is scarce for the animal, the body will actually metabolize these fats into energy. So that is why the adipose tissue is a major energy storage. Kasi pwedeng gawing energy itong adipose natin, itong fats natin. Okay? So there are two types of adipose tissues. You have the white adipose tissue, and then the brown fat. So when we say brown fat, it is specifically adapted for generation of heat and is found in cold adapted animals. So meaning, yung brown adipose tissues natin, usually, saan matatagpuan sa mga cold adapted, yung mga temperate animals natin. In most farms, however, animals used for meat, brown fat is prominently only in embryonic animals. Ang ibig sabihin nito, in most farm animals, yung nakikita mong adipose tissue or yung fat is kulay white. Okay? Meron ka pa rin makikitang brown fat, but it is prominently only in embryonic animals. So, the white fat is the principal energy storage tissue, and it is aggregated in meat animals into four main locations. So, ito parang subtopic na, di na to under the adipogenesis or fat development. Pero, in order for us to actually understand yung mga further topics, I will discuss an introduction into the fat. Okay? So first, you have yung subcutaneous fat. Usually, yung subcutaneous fat, as the name implies, it is found underneath the skin. Yun yung subcutaneous fat. Then you have visceral fat. When I say visceral fat, these are fats that surrounds the intestine and internal organs. So if you, like for example, observe when it is slaughtered, some of the organs are surrounded by fat. So those fats that surrounds the organs, those are called visceral fat. And then you also have what we call as intermuscular fat. So when we say intermuscular fat, these are fat that lies in between muscles. So it will actually distinguish the muscles. Like for example, ito. Makikita dito sa picture, ito yung intermuscular fat. It distinguish this muscle with that muscle. Okay? So those are intermuscular fat. Ulitin ko, those are the fats that lies in between muscles. Hindi siya in between muscle fiber. Iba yun. In between muscles, and then it will separate those distinct muscles with each other. So yun yung intermuscular fat. Now, when we say intramuscular fat, yun na yung fat that are located in between muscle fibers na. Hindi na siya in between individual muscles. It is located in between muscle fibers. So those are called intramuscular fat, or it is most commonly known as marbling. Yon yung intramuscular fat natin. So with that, those basically are the parang development natin ng fat. So we move further into the next discussion natin, which is usually which is on physical components of meat, and then eventually into the chemical components. So when I say physical components, usually these are the ones that are tangible, yung parang nakikita ng and it is observable by the naked eye. So a typical cut of meat is made up of primarily usually yung skeletal muscles. So most of our muscles kasi it is found or it is attached to the skeleton. So usually those meats that are palatable and usually edible, eventually all of meats naman are edible. Most kasi nasa skeletal muscle. So yung typical cut ng isang meat, meron ka nitong mga skeletal muscles natin. This is actually the meat itself, the flesh itself. Then aside from that, yung meat natin, aside from these skeletal muscles, you also have the connective tissues. Those tissues that connects muscle fibers with each other, and even the muscles from other muscles or muscles from other tissues. Okay, so those are the connective tissues natin. Then aside from those muscles and connective tissues, you also have the fat. So again, as I've introduced, yung fat natin, siya yung it can be a subcutaneous fat, it can be a intramuscular fat, which are fats that are in between muscles, or it can be muscle fibers. So yun yung another basic component, physical component of the meat. And then aside from that, some cuts of meat, especially those that are wholesale cuts of meat, usually meron yang matatagpuan na bone. Ang importance kasi ng bone, it will act as a guide for meat fabrication, wherein pag meron ka nitong bone na to, makikita mo na makaklasify mo na itong bone na to, it is a T-bone kasi nga meron ka nitong bone na to, parang ganun. So it acts as a guide for meat fabricators, mga butchers, when it comes to cutting the meat, yung bone. And then it also adds in structural integrity to the meat kasi nga usually yun naman yung function ng bone natin. And then aside from muscles, connective tissues, fat and bone, we also have small amount of smooth muscles such as smooth muscles. We also have arteries and veins. Okay, so basically those are the basic components, physical components of our meat. So in order to further discuss on it, when we say skeletal muscle, it is attached directly or indirectly to the bone and facilitates movement and or gives supports to the body. So basically, those skeletal muscles are the ones that will contract and relax in order for us to move. And it is attached to the skeleton because it will provide structure and locomotion to the body of the animal. So from a economic standpoint, yung skeletal muscle is the most important and it is the major component of the carcass. Kasi nga, usually this is the one that will dictate the quality of the meat. The skeletal muscle is the one that will dictate the quality of the meat as well as it will also affect, kumbaga, if the quality is low, it can also lower the quality. It can affect the other composition of the meat. And even the chemical composition of the meat, the skeletal muscle will affect it depending on the quality. Okay? So, sinabi dito from an economic standpoint. Yung pinaka-importante talaga is skeletal muscle kasi usually, yun yung pinakamarami doon sa meat. And ito yung tinitignan usually ng mga consumers natin. Ito yung unang nakikita. Hindi naman nila titignan yung fat or hindi naman nila unang makikita yung fat or the bones or the connective tissues. Yung una talagang makikita is the skeletal muscle. And if hindi maganda yung quality ng skeletal muscle, then mababa yung quality, mababa yung presyo. Okay? So, the skeletal muscles natin, depending on the cut, depending on the location of the body, can differ in length, in depth, and in thickness. So, some cuts of meat from different locations of the body will differ in length, will differ in depth, and in thickness. So, each muscle is interspersed with connective tissues and fat, and it is surrounded by connective tissues, which may vary also in thickness over different parts of the muscle. So, ang ibig sabihin lang yan, for our first component, which is skeletal muscles, usually, iba-iba yung cut, iba-iba yung physical na parang appearance niya, depending on the length, depending on the depth and the thickness of the meat or of the muscles. It will also dictate parang yung structure at yung itsura ng ating meat. So, when we say skeletal muscles kasi, meron niyang tatlong different connective tissues. So, the whole muscle is enclosed by a dense connective tissue sheet called the epimysium. Now, the muscle fibers are then divided into bundles of fibers called the fascicles. So, we will not go into deeper discussions about those fascicles. Pero, kumbaga, you have your isang muscle fiber and then isang muscle fiber, isang muscle fiber. Pag nagtitipon talaga, then they are called one bundle of muscle fibers called fascicles. Now, those fascicles are surrounded by a fibrous connective tissue called the perimysium. Okay? So, again, the whole muscle fiber is enclosed by epimysium. And then that muscle fibers, or that the whole muscle natin is enclosed by epimysium. And that muscle is composed of individual muscle fibers. Now, those muscle fibers will group together in order to create the fascicles. Now, in that fascicle, it is surrounded by the connective tissue called the perimysium. Okay? Then, since the fascicles are made up of individual muscle fibers, those muscle fibers are also surrounded by a loose connective tissue called the endomysium. So, this connective tissue covering each individual muscle fibers is called endomysium. Again, if we look into it again, muscle fibers, it is surrounded by endomysium. And then those muscle fibers will bundle together to create fascicles. Now that fascicles will then be surrounded by the connective tissue perimysium. And those fascicles will bundle up together to create the whole muscle. And that muscle, that whole muscle, skeletal muscle, is surrounded by the epimysium. So that is for the skeletal muscles. Now for our meat, another component of our meat is the connective tissues. So basically the connective tissues, usually these are the ones that will bind and support the um, the skeletal muscles and even bind it to the skeleton. Then it also protects the muscles, insulates, as well as store, reserve fuel, and then transport substances within the body. So those are basically the major functions of our connective tissues. So what I think on a more practical standpoint, yung purpose ng connective tissue is to cool bones into movement when muscle fibers contract. So this is why they need to be strong and durable. So additionally, when the harder muscles are forced to work, the thicker and tougher sheathing will be surrounded by the into the muscle fiber. So ang ibig sabihin niyan, pag yung muscle mo, most like for example, it is used for running or even for lifting, yung nagsasurround or yung connective tissues that will surround that muscle will be stronger and thicker in order for it to fully support the workload of that muscle. So this is why yung mga cuts ng meat that are located usually sa shoulder, kasi dito nai-strain kumbaga yung weight ng animal. And even sa legs, kasi usually ito yung ginagamit ng animals for walking, have more connective tissues than cuts like ribs and back portion. Kasi sa ribs, hindi naman masyadong ginagamit for movement or even for any other work. Yung back naman, it is only for support and hindi naman siya yung ginagamit ng animal for lifting, for walking. So, mas konti yung connective tissues doon sa mga cuts ng meat that comes from shoulders and that comes from the ribs and backs. So, shoulders and legs tend to experience, yun nga, yung sinasabi ko, yung mga shoulders and legs natin tends to experience higher activity levels than the back and rib areas of an animal. Kaya, mas madami kang makikitang connective tissues doon sa cut of meat coming from the back and rib areas. So in a mature, well-exercised animal, connective tissue is considered a major contributor to toughness. So therefore, the quality of meat, where the cut comes from, on the carcass, and the cooking method all influence tenderness. Ang ibig sabihin nito, usually the more mature the animal, the lesser is the tenderness. Kasi nga, mas madaming connective tissues doon sa mga matured animal. Kasi nga, basically, they had more time to do activities like they are well exercised, mas mature na yung muscles nila, mas marami nang na-experience na activity yung muscle nila, kaya it is surrounded mostly by connective tissues. And now these connective tissues are the ones that influence the tenderness of the meat. So if if you are more onto tender meats, kumbaga, yung bibilhin mo dapat are the meats that comes from younger animals. Kasi nakulkulbet, the meat, the karne, iti mature animal, the older animal compared to those that are younger. Why? Again, because of the connective tissues that are present within that skeletal muscle. Okay, so basically, that is for the connective tissues. Now, for another physical component, which is the fat, or we can also call it as lipids. Together with oxygens are the main fuels that powers the muscles. So fats are packed with calories, which are potential energy release when the chemical bonds are broken. So from a culinary standpoint naman, fat comes in three types. So you have the three types. You have the subcutaneous, intramuscular, and then the intermuscular. So yan. So again, the three types, you have yung subcutaneous fat una, which is again are the thick hard layers beneath the skins. Kaya nga tinawag na subcutaneous fats. Kasi nga it is beneath the skin lang. And then you have yung intermuscular fats. These are layers of fats between muscle groups. Again, intermuscular yung tawag doon. Pag you have one muscle, and then you have another muscle, those muscles that are located in between those muscles, those are called intermuscular fat. And then you have intramuscular fats. These are fats that are woven amongst the muscle fibers. And ito actually, itong intramuscular fat, it is the one that usually had the highest effect when it comes to the quality of the meat. So it will improve the meat's moisture, texture, and flavor when cooked. So yung fat, yung parang effect nito, or it will affect the flavor of the meat. Kasi if kaya nga yung mga meats that are good in marbling, yung marbling yun yung intramuscular fats natin, the presence of intramuscular fats. Kung maganda yung marbling ng meat natin, mas masarap. And this will dictate a more higher price compared to those that hindi maganda yung marbling. So these threads of intramuscular fats are called marbling because they have a stratiated look similar to a marble. Kaya tinawag na marbling. So if you can connote, you can parang say that intramuscular fat, or it can also be called as marbling. Kasi yung laging tatandaan, intramuscular fat will have the highest parang effect when it comes to the quality of the meat, especially on its flavor. Yan yung sinasabi ko. Yung fat natin, it also provides much of the flavor in meat. It absorbs and stores many of the aromatic compounds in the animal's food. So as the animal ages, those flavor compounds build up and get more noticeable. So yan. Ibig sabihin, as the animal age, mas magiging masarap yung parang flavor or mas flavorful yung meat compared to those that are young. But to some extent lang kasi eventually as it grows older, yung meat niya can become tougher, or it can be tough enough that it will affect the palatability of the meat. So, yan. Basta laging tatandaan, the fat, which is a physical component of the meat, will provide the flavor. So, when it comes to the fat, especially if the animal is slaughtered, yung fat na yun can turn into rancid if stored too warm or too long or in contact with oxygen. So, yan yung trade-off. The muscle fibers and connective tissues get tougher as the animal ages and exercise, while the fat accumulates and builds flavor. So, ang ibig sabihin yan, ano lang, you need to be careful, especially if it is slaughtered na you need to store it in proper conditions in order for the fat not to be rancid, not to turn rancid. Kasi when we say rancid, it is more, ang Ilocano term is mabangles. Alis ko nga mabangles the fat because of oxidation. Especially if it will come into contact with the oxygen. So, kailangan i-store mo siya in proper conditions. Then, yung sinasabi ko kanina, since as the animal grows older, yung muscle fibers and connective tissues get tougher. So, meaning the tenderness actually nagiging tough. Nakulbot nukwa DJ muscle or meat DJ animal na mature. Pero yung trade-off doon, yung fat accumulates as well as this will build flavor. So mas masarap yung meat na yon, yung matured meat or yung meat coming from matured animal compared to those that are younger. Pero yung problema lang kasi yung meat that comes from matured animal, tougher yung tenderness hindi masyadong maganda. Nakulkulbot no kwa. So yun lang yung trade. So in selecting meat, you need to have a balance, kumbaga, of matured enough yung animal that it has flavor, pero it is not matured that masyado namang tough yung meat. Okay? So, yun yung mga factors that are in play when it comes to the toughness, the flavor, and the overall quality of the meat. Then aside from those physical components, we also have the bones. So bones facilitate movement to provide protection to the internal organs and are important for blood cell formation and nutrient storage. So on the inside, bones contain a variety of different tissues and cells. All of these components work together to make the bone function well. So again, when I say bones, it is more or less some of the cuts of meat kasi contains bone. And those bones are the ones that will, in a muscle, will facilitate movement, provide protection of the internal organs, and it is an important component for blood cell formation and nutrient storage. Ngayon, if it is a carcass na, yung muscles, it is considered na meat. Yung bones na yon, essentially it is not, it is tough, and then it is, kumbaga, not edible. So, yung purpose na ngayon ng bone for a meat is it will act as a guide in order for you to classify or in order for you to identify that kind of meat. So, yun yung function naman niya after that muscle becomes meat. So, the bones conducts heat within the body so that it cooks more evenly and prevents meat drying out and shrinking during cooking. So not only do bones add nutrition, but they add a ton of flavor in the cooking process as well. When you cook meat on the bone, the marrow and other substances from the bones actually flavor the meat, adding a depth of flavor that does not exist with a boneless cut. So aside from what I've mentioned na function ng bone when it comes to the meat, then it also adds flavor to the meat when it is cooked. So, pag together with the meat, pag naluto kasi yung bone, the components of the bone, especially the bone marrow, can provide the extra flavor that it needs. And this will eventually improve the flavor of the meat. So, yan yung bones natin. So, with that, those are the physical components. Again, when I say physical components, yung nakikita, yung na-observe yung sa meat natin. Those are the physical components. Aside from that, yung water holding capacity, mga ganun, are also observable. And we can talk about it, or we will talk about it in a later discussion. Pero yun muna. Basta for a more simpler or to facilitate an efficient discussion, those are the physical components of meat. Now we go to the chemical components of meat. So according to Cobos and Diaz in 2014, meat is composed approximately of 72 to 75% water. So madami yung moisture sa meat, and then 21% nitrogenous compounds. So again, when I say nitrogenous compounds, these are basically compounds, substances that contains nitrogen. So, like for example, protein. If you remember protein, your chemical composition of protein, you have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So, 19% protein, 1.5% non-protein nitrogenous compounds. So, when we say non-protein nitrogenous compounds, these are compounds that are not protein, but they also provide nitrogen. Kaya nga non-protein nitrogenous compounds sila. Okay, 1.5%. Then, aside from that, yung ating meat can contain around 2.5 to 5% lipids, yung mga fats natin yan. Then 1% non-nitrogenous compounds. Dito papasok yung mga vitamins and then carbohydrates. And then 1% ash or yung mga minerals natin. So dito papasok sina potassium, phosphorus, sodium, magnesium, and calcium. Okay, so those are our chemical composition or chemical components ng ating meat. So yan, in the meat proteins, yung meat proteins natin, it is actually divided into three classes. You have yung myofibrillar or yung mga component or meat protein that responsible for contraction and relaxation of the muscle. Then the sarcoplasmic, which is soluble in water, and then yung connective tissues natin. So magkikita dito, ito yung mga proteins in the individual muscle fibers. You have yung ito, myofibril, which is usually the ones that will contract and relax. And then you have yung sarcomere, mga ganyan. So all of these are proteins that are located in each individual muscle fiber. Then, when it comes to the lipids naman, in animals, they are commonly classified as lipofats and intramuscular lipids. Yan, sinabi ko na rin naman kung ano yung mga ng lipids natin. Pero in a more chemical standpoint, yan, the muscles natin or the meat natin, it contains also lipids as a nutrient. Saan galing yung lipid na yun? Usually the fats or yung fats natin. Okay? So the proportion daw ng total body fat, so the proportion or the number of total body fats in a tawag nito, a meat varies between species. Ang ibig sabihin, itong si sheep, maaari na mas mataas yung fat tipo compared doon sa leaner na species natin compared sa beef or sa cattle or maaari na mas mataba, mas madaming proportion ng body fat si swine compared doon sa mga ruminants natin. Then you have carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are also present in the muscles natin. Relatively, it is in small concentration. So, it ranges from around 0.5 to 1.5%. So, again, laging tatandaan, the main carbohydrate is glycogen, which in living animal function as an energy store supplying energy for muscle contraction through aerobic glycolysis. Yung ating glycogen kasi again, it is the main carbohydrate ng mga animals, yung glycogen. It is stored. The carbohydrate is stored as glycogen. Ngayon, when times of scarcity, when I say scarcity, wala masyadong nutrients na pumapasok sa body ng animal. Yung glycogen na yun, it will undergo the process of glycogenesis. And then this, or basically, a glycogenolysis, which breaks down the glycogen into carbohydrate or into glucose, which is used for energy. Okay? So, yeah. Then, meat and meat products are good source of most of the water-soluble vitamins, mainly yung thiamine natin or yung B1, riboflavin, niacin, and vitamins B6 and B12. So, all of these are found in the meat. So like for example, naman, si liver, it is rich in folate. Red meats such as beef and lamb are especially good sources of vitamin B12. Pork meats and products are one of the best sources of thiamine. And meat is not, pero yung meat natin, it is not an important source of vitamin C. So meaning, if you are mainly on a meat diet, you need to supplement your diet with some other sources of vitamin C. So for minerals, our meat is very rich or from minerals like phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, iron, and copper, zinc, and selenium. So, one important mineral in the meat na nakukuha natin is yung iron. So, iron content is very important as nutrients, mainly sa mga red meat natin because it is present in the high bioavailable heme form. Ang ibig sabihin lang niyan, yung iron natin that are usually found dito sa mga red meat natin, they are digested and absorbed kasi nga it is present in high bioavailable na form. Ang ibig sabihin niyan, it can be more or less digested easily and more or less absorbed easily by the body. Then, for the water, it constitutes 75% of lean meat in average. So there are three types of water in meat. We have the bound water, which is, as the name implies, it is bound within the muscle, immobilized muscle, and then you have the free moisture or water. So kung makikita dito, ito yung parang sinasabi ko noon when it comes to the meat of the like the PSE meat, the pale soft exudative, kung makikita, ito ganito karami yung parang lumabas na moisture sa kanya. And then if you go to the DFD or yung dry, firm, dark na meat, makikita na walang nakuha or konti lang yung nakuha na meat, water or moisture. And then pag normal yan, ganyan karami. So makikita na the water itself, together with the other components, can actually affect the quality. Kasi pag PSE yan, masyadong pale yung kulay. Bakit pale yung kulay? Kasi most of the waters, nawawash out yung pigments and the water can become paler. And then you have yung dark, usually kasi na walang nag-exudate na water. Darker. Then there are other components that are in play, pero yun yung water natin. So bound water, which is about 4 to 5% of water in muscles, is held tightly by myofibrillar protein charges, and it is also referred as constitutional water. Then yung mga immobilized or entrap water naman is the largest proportion of water found in meat. So free water is held in the meat by weak capillary forces and can flow on from the meat unimpeded. When we say unimpeded, yung free water, as the name implies, free nga. So it can be freely flow outside the muscles. Yung itong nakikita dito, it is actually the free water. So those are the chemical components of the meat. Another discussion will go into it maybe hopefully as a face-to-face discussion na. Okay, so with that, those are basically an introduction to the physical and chemical components of it. So